We are good to go. I would like to introduce from the library, complete with name tag, this is Lauren Jessup to kick off this event on International Women's Day. Thank you, Lauren. I'll step out of your way.
Thanks. Good morning, everyone. As Jan said, I'm Lauren Jessup. I'm the CEO here at the Barrie Public Library. We're so pleased that you could all join us in our space this morning on International Women's Day. When women and girls are able to discover opportunities, they succeed, and it adds so much value to our community. So I know we're all going to learn so much this morning from this amazing group of female first responders and community leaders that are assembled here. So thank you, and enjoy the panel, and happy International Women's Day.
Okay. Very nice. Thank you very much. Do we have Kristen Andrews is lurking? Right here in the front. You don't have a name tag, so I don't know.
I have my name tag right here for you.
Okay, thank you very much. Come on up.
Hi everyone, I am Kristen Andrews, and I'm honored to be here today to do the land acknowledgement. So the City of Barrie and the Barrie Public Library are both acknowledge the traditional land of the Anishinaabe people, which does include the Odawa, the Ojibwe, and the Potawatomi nations that are collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. We also acknowledge the Wendat Nation Huron, who occupied these lands prior to the middle of the 17th century. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and recognize the enduring presence of Indigenous peoples on this land. We're committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people. As there are many people joining us virtually here today, I want to ensure that we're inclusive and take a moment and think about all the land that all of the people are on. Right now, while we're here, and also whenever we do travel, I'd like you to take a minute and just think about your own personal history that's brought you to be on this land today and on the land when you travel, and try to understand deeply your place within that history. Land acknowledgements are not meant to exist in a past tense. Colonialism is a current and ongoing process, and we need to build our mindfulness of our present participation. I'm going to end with a quote, and I hope you keep it with you on your journey towards reconciliation, and it's from Lindsay Dupuis from the Métis Nation. She says, as we engage in processes of reconciliation, it's critical that land acknowledgements don't become a token gesture. They are not meant to be static, scripted statements that every person must recite in exactly the same way. They're expressions of relationship, acknowledging not just the territory that someone is on, but the person's connection to that land based on the knowledge that has been shared with them. Thank you so much for this privilege. Back to you, Jen.
Very nicely done, thank you. And something that you're right, that we don't think about in our busy, busy lives. If you take a moment, whatever that moment is to you, to acknowledge. Very nicely said, thank you very much. So thank you for clapping and for acknowledging. You know what I'm going to ask you to do right away though, is we're not going to clap for these ladies until the very end, because we've got all kinds of great conversation that we're going to have and some questions that we're going to ask. And we'll do that big acknowledgement on the back end, if you don't mind, because I'd really like to have time for questions for all of you. And let's get started, shall we? International Women's Day, and a very esteemed group of women sitting in front of you today. And we're going to talk a little bit about what it takes to get to positions like these women are in today, how the balancing of their lives works and probably sometimes doesn't work, I would imagine. We're going to talk a little bit about the path on how they got here, and we're going to talk a little bit about maybe some advice or some suggestions that they have for any of you who are interested in their path for the future. Because really that's what this is about, isn't it? It's about sending the elevator down and bringing people up, bringing women up, young women up, and young men, inspiring people to move forward in the path that moves them. So we will begin by talking a little bit about that balancing act, because most of us strive for work-life. I know we all say work-life balance, but really, is it ever a balance? I don't know. Is there anybody in the audience who thinks they have work-life balance? How about we call it work-life harmony, okay? And we try to find those two things that go together. So I'd like to ask a little bit of the ladies, because in emergency services, I can't imagine that it is a very, easy thing to do. So before we jump into the questions, let's hear who we've got to talk to today. I'm going to ask the ladies to introduce themselves, and the other thing that we're going to do, no, we'll do that on the back end. Let's introduce ourselves first. Would you like to go first, Angie?
Good morning, everybody.
Nice
Thank you
and
for
close.
being here. My name is Angie Butler with Barrie Police Service. I'm a staff sergeant within the organization.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Chantal Demers, and I work for the County of Simcoe Paramedic Services. I'm the Commander of Logistics and Community Programs.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us, taking time out of your busy lives. I'm Sarah Mills. I'm the Director-in-Chief of Paramedic Services for the County of Simcoe.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Carrie Clark, and I am the Deputy Fire Chief for the City of Barrie.
Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here. My name's Alana Kovacs-Gunn, and I'm a firefighter with the City of Barrie.
I'm Michelle Plowman, and I am a police constable with Barrie Police.
Nicely done. Can we hear at the back? How are we doing? Are we good? A little closer? I'm getting some of the little Okay, excellent. Britt, we'll encourage everyone to speak up. Now, I'd like to ask you ladies, we talked a little bit about in the green room before we came, one word that you might offer, or one phrase that you might offer as words of encouragement to people to women, young women, who might come after you. You're all trailblazers. Whether you meant to be or not, you are trailblazers. So is there one word or one idea that you might like to share for those who come after? And we're going to shake it up totally, and we're going to start on the other end. Yeah, you knew that was going to happen, didn't you? Yeah.
So mine's just going to be a
Nice
short
and close.
phrase, a little short phrase, just never give up.
Okay.
My word would be strength.
Strength.
Be the difference.
Oh, be the difference. Yeah.
Mine would be authentic.
Okay.
I said perseverance, but I also want to add tuck and roll in there.
I like it. Okay. Nice.
Be vulnerable.
Be vulnerable. Okay. Taken together. I'm calling that a package for success. Absolutely. Absolutely. Nicely done. Thank you, ladies. So let's talk about that balancing act. Now, we're going to start with Sarah and ask a question a little bit about is work-life balance even possible, Sarah? How do you balance everything that you do?
So, what is balance? For me, it's not getting lost in it, right? So as a woman, it's really easy to get lost in your responsibilities and what your perceived responsibilities are. You're a mom, you're a wife, you're a sister, you're a daughter, you're all of these things. And then also you are pushing boundaries in work, and you're pushing forward in your career, and you're, breaking the glass ceiling. And so getting all of that, fitting all that into a 24-hour period is very tough. So I've found over the years, I have a wonderful partner. I have an amazing husband. I mean, I'm very busy. I have 2 small children who really keep me on my toes. We've created a little family at work as well. So they help with balance. Find something that quiets the noise for you. So for me, it's getting outside in nature, being outside, getting some sun on my face, and some cool air in my, just some cool air on my face, and just kind of taking it all in. But I just got to caution you as women, it is so easily gets away from you. And I'm sure there's not one person in this room that doesn't resonate with that.
Absolutely.
Be mindful of it. Tune into it and really work through what those balances are for you. It'll be different for everyone.
Thank you. That's great. And you mentioned we're very busy in a 24-hour period. And what's interesting to me, because it's not my world, is that you all have at some point in your life worked shift work. So Alana, I wonder if you might tell us a little bit about how do you do the same thing that Sarah was talking about, but you work 24-hour shifts. Is that correct?
That is correct. So I'm 24 hours on, and depending on the week, I could be off for only 24 hours before I'm back in for work. But with that, agreeing with Sarah that it is having the support of your family that makes those 24 hours possible. I have a very supportive husband and my parents who make going to work not easy, that seems like the wrong word, but again, possible. I know that somebody's at home taking care of our dogs and taking care of the house. And when I get home the next morning, I'm able to truly be home. And then also, the people I work with also really make a point of that family is important. We're all checking in with our families at home. We're all talking about our families at home. Family is kind of the word of the fire service, I would say.
Nice, very nice. I'm hearing that notion of family and team is kind of repeating in that support network. Michelle, is there something that do you agree with that you feel like I'm part of something? Is that how you find balance?
So I actually look at balance in a weekly thing versus day to day, just
Okay.
because, like with our 12-hour shifts, like I essentially wake up, I go to work, I do my job, I go home, I eat, sleep. If I have a sport, I do that and kind of come back in. But then I have a full 4 days off, which is my balance of doing anything and everything that I want. So that's how I find my balance is when I'm at work, and then my 4 days off is where I get everything done that I need to do.
Okay, okay. And I'm thinking you deserve those 4 days off. That's
I do.
how I'm feeling about that. Yeah, Alana, you want to add to that?
I would. Just touching on sports, like that's also something that in my days off, like being active is very important, especially in our line of work. Like we're very active jobs between police, fire, and ambulance. Like it's not just sedentary. We're lifting, we're heavy, we're carrying, we're pulling, we're pushing. So keeping active with whatever means necessary is definitely something that's important on our days off.
Well, and I think probably all of you agree, it's one thing to be active during the day, it's quite another to work out and stay strong and work out for stress relief. So I would imagine that you've got to find that balance in there too. Yeah. Would anyone else like to add anything to that in there? How do you manage balance? Okay, I know you're all having thoughts about how do you all manage balance as well, because it is really a difficult thing. And imagine if you're working 24 hours a day. Gosh, amazing. Very nicely done. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about leadership. Leadership is an elusive quality. Did you know actually that more books have been written about leadership than any other business case? Because leadership is kind of an elusive quality, isn't it? It's something that we learn, we grow into. We have to kind of figure a little bit out as we go. And so I wanted to ask the ladies some questions about how they are stepping into leadership. Because again, you are all leaders as you move through into an industry that is, not been that long, but women have been involved in emergency services. So, Angela, originally the question was scheduled to be, do you agree that we need more women in emergency services? Well, the answer to that is yes. Okay, so I'm going to answer that for you, as long as you're okay with that. Yeah, we're going to answer that. Just yes is the answer. So my question to you is more about why. How do women add something different or a different level to emergency services? Nice.
I think as women internally, we all know what we bring to the table, whether it be at work, at home, any situation we're in. But what's interesting is actually what research and data shows that we actually bring and validates what we already think and know. Women are more likely to improve community-based relationships. We're very collaborative. We do that on a daily basis with our relationships, but in the workforce, it really shines in there. We're known to de-escalate. We're all pretty competent, capable women up here, and we all bring our own skill sets. But again, our de-escalation and our communication, as you can tell just from this morning, is such a huge asset. Research shows that we communicate and we meet people where they're at and we get to their level, which causes, it shows less use of force, those types of things. We're known to be policymakers because with all the words that the ladies described up here earlier, they're all about not giving up, perseverance, for being in the moment, for going forth. We have the tenacity to keep going. So that's really important. We're also more compassionate and empathetic, and those things bring us strengths. They're not considered to be weaknesses. They are a strength, and when I use the word to be vulnerable, it's very important to be vulnerable, because when you're vulnerable, you actually shine, and it shows your compassion and your empathy, and it enables you to grow and to bring all those wonderful things to the table that people really need, and quite frankly, we're really good at inspiring people, as you've seen from all these ladies, so.
Very nice, yeah, very nice. And it really is a different kind of a skill set, isn't it? That notion of being able to meet people where they're at and have conversations about where they are at. Chantel, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Stole all of the words from me.
Okay.
No, I think just as well as being women, we're very adaptable. and the self-awareness that we bring to the table can really reflect on different situations, and we could adapt and move forward from that because that's what we do every single day. So.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And really, every career is about change, isn't it? But oh my goodness, your careers must change on a daily basis. I imagine you're always rolling with change.
Tuck and roll, like I said.
Yeah, right, I'd forgotten that already. Yeah, I hear you. Okay, so it applies across the board. Nicely done, yeah,
And
nicely done.
paramedics is actually a pretty young profession, and the scope of practice is literally changing every day with community paramedicine coming into play. So it's a really exciting time to be in the profession, but it requires a lot of perseverance and adaptability and some self-awareness to move forward.
I wonder, is there ever a day when you feel like business as usual?
Nope.
Okay, no, that's a short answer. That's the short answer and direct to the point.
Only if you want to jinx it.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah, I suppose.
Seems really
yeah.
quiet today.
Oh, yeah.
Never say the word quiet.
Okay, that's fair, that's fair. Carrie, I want to ask you a little bit about leadership specifically. Being a deputy chief, you're in an elite group, right? Really, you are. You're at a top where there's not a lot of people in that club, if you will. And how has that, sounds so silly to say, how has that been for you? That's a ridiculous way to say it. But it was an interesting journey to get there. And now that you are a leader, do you find that your leadership style and abilities are shifting the way that elite group works?
I really hope so.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is an interesting group to be in. There's 5 chiefs for the city of Barrie.
Okay.
One fire chief, 2 deputies, and 2 assistant deputies. So we're a very tight-knit group, and we have to trust each other all the time, and we do. So the importance for me is to ensure that if something comes forward, is the intent there, or is it an impact? Because if it impacts me, but there was an intent, then we can talk about it. But if there was intent and there was impact, then we really need to talk about it. But we don't need to talk about it in front of this group. We don't need to talk about it. We talk about it in private, and we decide how those things go forward. For me, as an example, I guess, in the fire service, we are often in public-facing situations. Sure. Right? We're prepared to speak. We're ready. We have the words. We're good to go. We have the shiny buttons on. I'm there. I have words. I'm standing in the speaker queue. Everything's going really well. The dialogue is moving along, and the speaker in front of me assumes that my male counterpart of equal rank is the leader and will take the mic.
Interesting.
Well, the iPhones are up, the cameras are on. You cannot have a reaction, right? But you need to make a choice. So do you decide, I'm going to interject here and take the mic because I am going to speak today? Or do you defer to your male colleague and then he has to make a choice? Is he going to graciously redirect, or will he save face for the room, because there could be an embarrassment factor depending on the people in the room, and take the mic? Either way, it has to be integral to the agency that we represent, and it needs to be integral to the values of both of us. So, and you're on camera, right?
Yeah.
So either way is the right decision, but you have to make it in a millisecond, and you have to be able to trust that that's going to go appropriately for your agency and your values. So in this particular situation, my trusted companion very graciously redirected. The event went on, and that's why we trust each other so much.
Nicely said. Now you understand why there are so many books written on leadership. And now you also understand why, even though it's International Women's Day, it's very important that there are men in the audience. It's very important that we have allies who are saying, take the microphone. And nicely said, yeah, thank you. That was great. Would anyone like to add a little bit, maybe the other ladies, do you feel like having female leaders is easier, different, important? Where are you at in that question? Would anyone like to comment on that as we talk about leadership?
I can.
Great.
I think it's extremely important. I think that women, to kind of bolster what everyone else is talking about, just bring something very specific to the table. And I know within our team, they come to me for the empathetic piece and they come to me for the authentic touch to it. People are people, life is hard. And sometimes it takes someone to focus in on that from a leadership standpoint. I mean, leadership's never, it's something that you continually develop. You can't read it in a book and be a good leader. It's something that you have to have all of these qualities to start to really develop that leadership skill. You have to be humble, you have to be authentic, you have to be vulnerable, you have to be able to take, have some self-awareness. There's all of those things that I think women they bring to the table inherently that are really a part of being a strong leader and being a good leader.
Well said. Yeah. Angie, do you want to add?
I agree totally. And I think it's important to have female leaders because we're able to say to each other, it's okay to fall down.
Yeah.
It's okay to fall down, but I'll help you get back up. And I think that's important to realize that we're human. We have struggles, but struggles make us grow and struggles develop us. And if we don't fail, we don't know how to succeed like all these amazing women here and all these amazing women in the audience. And that's so important. That amazing lady right down there. Right? It's so important to do that. And I think we have the ability to be able to recognize that and vocalize it and not hide behind the failure, because failure is actually an opportunity to get better and be better.
And are you, go ahead. Do you want to add to that? Before I ask another question, yeah.
I do, thank you. I think it's important to also recognize that leadership isn't tied to your title. Everyone in their
Yes.
roles can be a leader, and we are really proud of that in our logistics department, that we do that, and it's great. So shout out back there. Sarah.
And that's very true. Thank you for adding that. Absolutely, yeah. Alana, you want to add to that?
Yeah, and just, the other night we're at a structure fire and I'm the pump operator in charge of multiple lines off the truck, sorry. And then all of a sudden Chief Clark shows up and it's very cool all of a sudden to see that there's 2 women there out of this whole large chaotic scene. And to see her in such a leadership position is very inspiring to me personally, but also to know that, I have the support of all my colleagues and everybody that are, you're doing this and we're doing this, and it's a really nice feeling that way.
Just one more thing
Yeah,
to add
yeah,
on
for
that.
sure. No,
From
this
a
is great.
leadership
That's great.
standpoint, I'll tell you from my personal experience, just I haven't learned leadership from really excellent leaders. You know what I mean? Like, I've learned from watching things happen over the years that I've thought, oof, that's not a good way to treat people. In any job I've had, I was a hostess at a restaurant when I was 16. You don't treat people poorly. And so those are the things you take along your life, and you collect these little tidbits of information on how to not treat people. And then I'm lucky enough to get into a job now where I have a powerhouse of a woman boss who is broken the glass ceilings throughout her entire career. So now I have someone who I can get great leadership advice from and watch how she works. And hopefully I can pass that on to our team. As a collective, we work all together to develop that leadership team, not necessarily individual leaders. So it's a team effort on our part.
Nice. And so now you have a model. So what I'm hearing is it's our job as people who work in all kinds of different industries to collect leadership skills as we go. Is that in essence what you're saying? And sometimes it's your job to bring them all together with your sense of value. Yeah. Nice. Very nice. Okay. I was going to ask, I want to jump back just a little bit. There was talk a little bit about failure and how failure it's part of the gig. It's part of life, right? It's part of being on the planet. But so many of us are so afraid of it. And I think that keeping in mind we're talking to young people who are in school, people who are looking ahead, I want to ask you a little bit about failure before I go, because it adds to like Sarah said, it adds to that repertoire of leadership skills. I need to know how to fail and recognize that I will probably do it again at some point. Do you have some words of advice that any of you might like to share? I know this is not on the script. I'm sorry. I'm not. No one was prepared for this question, but I'm really curious about it.
Failure
Yes, Angie.
opens doors. And failure allows you to think outside the box and to say, perhaps I was going to go on this one path, but because this wasn't my best show that I did, you know what, I think I'm really good in this other area, and I'm going to give it a try because I've never thought like that before. So it's important, it's necessary, and it should be welcoming. You should embrace it.
Agreed.
I think
Yeah,
it's
Chantal.
a wonderful growth opportunity, hands down, in any aspect of your life when you flop on your face a little bit. And it gives you an opportunity to bring other people into the conversation as well. I think sometimes we're so busy, you're staying true to the course, and it's impossible to think of everything. And unfortunately, that's kind of the reality of our professional lives right now and how busy it is. So it kind of gives you a reality check sometimes, and that's nothing but growth there.
Very true. Yeah, very true. Absolutely.
The failure's to your point, failure's inevitable. It happens. Embrace it. And we're not even just talking about your job. I fail every day when I try to get my kids to eat dinner. It is what it is when it comes to that kind of stuff. But the only advice I would give you, and I had a girlfriend give it to me when I was going through a particularly hard time, just be kind to yourself. You are kind. We go out of our way and we teach our kids and we tell other people to be kind to other people. Be kind, do what's right, treat people well. It's very, very important to be kind to yourself. When you have a failure in your life, it's okay. Treat yourself with kindness. Kick stones if you need to kick stones, but then pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and move through it.
Way you go. It's pretty hard to be kind to other people if you're not kind to yourself from the start. Yeah, Carrie.
The voice in your head is going to be with you 24/7, so make it as nice as you can.
Yeah.
But refocus the word failure into either that you're learning, that you're winning or you're learning. So if you get your kids to eat dinner, you're winning. And if they didn't like whatever it is, you're learning that you need to sneak some
Good
cheese
advice.
on the broccoli. Right? You gotta,
I got my first, I wish I had no parents the other day.
Oh.
And she's 6, and it was over chicken. So I think I'll be okay, but
perspective's an important thing.
be
but
kind to yourself.
maybe we should go with steak next
Yes,
time.
yeah.
Very good.
Ouch. Well, okay, those are the obstacles, the hurdles. And so what I'm hearing is there's never a straight line. There's never a straight line. And Michelle, I wanted to ask you a little bit about how did your path bring you to be a constable in the police force? Was it a straight line at all?
It was pretty straight.
Nice and close.
It was pretty straight, to be honest. So I knew I wanted to be a police officer from a young age. I had a bunch of parents on the soccer team that I played with that were cops, and it kind of just really inspired me. And what actually pushed me more was that I was significantly smaller, obviously, at the time. I was always the smallest person on the team. And they actually told me I was too small to be a cop, which pushed me to want to prove them wrong. So I went to school actually in the States for criminal justice. I came back, I did all my testing. I applied to OPP, Barrie Police. I got hired on as a special constable, and within 6 months of being at the court system, I got hired on as a constable. So it wasn't,
done.
I don't want to say it wasn't hard, but it was linear. I followed the route I wanted to go.
But isn't it interesting that you took that, and I guess it wasn't criticism because you're not a big person,
No.
right? So it's not criticism, it's really a statement of fact. But you took that to say, okay, watch this,
Yeah.
which is really great, right? Because you could have gone the other way in conversation as we talk about failure. Yeah. Nicely done, yeah, nicely done. Chantel, would you like to add a little bit to that? Was your path?
No, actually, when I went to school over 20 years ago, I actually started in the fire route in school and then did that, couldn't get hired, and I was like, what will help me become a firefighter? So I went to my paramedic school and had a really hard time with my preceptor, but at this point I went to college for a really long time, so I'll have to pay the bills, and I started as a paramedic thinking I'll only be in it until my student loans are paid off, and here I am 21 years later. And I think that's really a testament to the people that you're surrounded with and the mentors that you've had along the way can really bolster you. So it's been great. No regrets.
And it speaks to what Angie said too about sometimes when we fail, it just redirects us. And that sounds like that's what happened. I applied here, I didn't get in, it redirected me, and look where I'm at now. I love it, right? It's my thing. Yeah, it's my thing. nice. Angie, would you like to, how about your path? Was it direct?
Oh, absolutely not. Was not direct, and I think sometimes we all try to put our life in little boxes, like a bento box. Here's all the compartments that we need to be in, and there's where we need to go. And I very much had that vision for myself, but I have such gratitude that it didn't go that way, because it opened doors, and it opened different areas that I realized I'm better in this area. I can help people differently in this area. So it wasn't linear, and I would encourage you to take that path less traveled and that difficult climb, because it not only tells you that you can, like Michelle said, and she's a rock star. She's awesome. But it shows you that there's other things about yourself that you're learning as well, and that's important for your growth too. Not only, like the lady said, not just at work, but at home, with your partners, with everything, your community. It's all very important for that reason.
For sure. And I would like to emphasize that to the people that are watching, all of the young people that are watching everywhere that we're streaming. I just want to say that again, what Angie just said. I am so glad it didn't go that way and something else happened, because we get so caught up in our path. We get so caught up in that as the direction. And the world doesn't end if you have a failure or a blip or an obstacle along the way. And these women, every single one of them, are a testament to that. So if you're watching and you're thinking about something that you failed at and you don't know how you're going to recover, this is how you recover. Thank you very much. That's great, ladies. I appreciate that. Alana, how about your path? Was it, you're in the front lines. Was it a straight trajectory?
Oh, not even close. It was a lot of zigzags, I would say. I joke that I went to university for sports, not an education. I got one, but after that, I moved out west to throw javelin, of all things.
Okay.
Moved home and started a career in planning and development. Actually, while I was doing that, I was intrigued more by policing than fire. But I had a family member in the fire service, so and joined a volunteer.
The police
always
chief's
come
back
back.
there
We're
thinking
hiring.
he missed something, but
Fire
like,
police
we're
is the
winning.
future.
We're
Oh,
winning.
good for you, good for you. Little healthy competition here is a good thing. I love it. Yeah.
And decided to join a volunteer department in my community, where along the way I got all of my qualifications and my DZ. And then as
I don't know what a DZ
sorry,
is.
my air brake license. I can drive a really big truck now with air brakes.
Oh, cool. Okay, that's great. Love it. Yeah.
And I was working for the city of Barrie already in planning and development when I saw a job posting for full-time fire and thought, I am qualified, I guess, in a way. So I applied and went through the whole process, and I can't imagine a different life. Not only career, but just my life in general is just so much better than I thought it would be, and so much more full. And it's really it was an incredible journey, and a hard journey, and one that I know it was a lot of work, but I have zero regrets about it at all.
Nice, nice. Very nice to hear. I would like to now ask, we've got a few minutes left, and I would like to ask a little bit about the future. I would like to ask a little bit about advice that you might offer, knowing who we're speaking to, knowing that today is International Women's Day, knowing that there are young women who are wanting perhaps to do some of the things that you do. And so I'm going to ask you all about the future. You think about it for a second, what advice you would give, and I am going to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors. That's what I'm going to do. This is the commercial break while you think, okay? You're all ready for that? So you think about it, and I would like to say that this is an amazing event, and I'm so delighted to host it. It's been organized by Barrie Fire and Emergency Service, obviously, the Barrie Police and the County of Simcoe Paramedic Services, which all of these women up here, strong and capable women, are representing very admirably. We also, of course, are also supported by the City of Barrie, Barrie Public Library. Thank you so much for having this fabulous space where we can all come together. That's lovely. Georgian College is involved as well. And Barrie Futures, Barrie Grant, Bright Futures, pardon me, Barrie Grant. And it's amazing, isn't it, how many people need to come together to create a successful event. I hope that you will all take a selfie today, that you will come up at the photo opportunity later and take a selfie, and I would like you to post it on your social media, because these are the kinds of things that need to be shared. So we're looking to hashtag IWD Barrie, okay? International Women's Day Barrie. So I'm hoping that you'll do a selfie. And if you do that, guess what? You can win a prize. Right? You can win a prize. We've got some gift cards, and you will be entered in a draw if you use that hashtag for a gift card from $50 to $100. How delightful. Okay, that was our sponsor promotional moment. Everybody good? Takes a lot of people, is what I'm hearing about that, to have a great event. Ready? Okay, so we tell ourselves a lot of stories as we walk through life. And we tell ourselves a lot of stories about what we cannot do. It's sad, but it seems to be part of what it means to be human. I don't know why that is, and I wish we were wired differently, but we are not. And my thought is that these ladies and these women up here have had in their time those moments of doubt, just like all of us have, that said, yeah, this is crazy. Why am I trying to do this? This is not a easy road. There's too many men in this. There's too many places above me that are populated by men, and I'm having some hard time getting support. And that's part of it. It's just part of it. That's just reality. So I would like you to talk a little bit about what advice would you give? What advice would you give for those who are looking ahead? Or maybe if you could go back and say, good grief, I should have done. Chantel's pulling the mic up to her mouth. She will be our first speaker. Yes, absolutely.
I think it's really important to ask questions. If you don't know, we don't know what we don't know, right? Put yourself in positions where you could ask those questions and widen your lens. Sometimes we're really, really close to what's happening. You just got to take 10 steps back, surround yourself with the people, ask those questions, and just gather all of the knowledge that you can, and then you could use that to put in your nice little toolkit and move forward.
Nicely said. Nicely said. I love it. Alana, I see you. Yeah.
I would say take the opportunities given to you, but also do the work to create the opportunities at the same time. Luck just doesn't happen. The people who have luck make their own luck.
For sure. Yeah, Carrie.
So stay curious and learn about whatever fills your soul. But while you'll know when you're working in the right field, because you lose track of time, you're like, oh, it's dark outside, and I should probably go walk my dog. And but you're totally energized, like you know you're in the right place. And when you find that, and sometimes it's a taster's menu of trying to get there, but when you do find that place, you're in the right place. And when you do work hard, like Alana, every day, and everybody up here, when you do work hard and you're consistent, the right people will notice, and your opportunities will come up. And when they're like, oh yeah, Alana Kovacs Gunn, she is a hard worker. You know, if we were going to tap someone to do this project, I would tap Alana. And then you know that you know all of that's paying off. So
Nice.
So just know that every day is really a job interview, and the right things will come to you.
Okay, I love that. Every day is a job interview. Isn't that the truth? Yeah. I often say every time you open your mouth, you're auditioning for leadership is one of my favorite quotes. Same. Nice. Yeah, nicely done. Sarah, you.
Yeah, I have a couple of pieces of advice. One of the most important ones is be prepared to do the job that nobody wants to do to get the job that everybody wants. So sometimes you have to do that, those little pieces to get to be the one that's successful for the job that everyone. Make yourself well-rounded. And then the other piece is there's never a good time. And when I say that, you can plan and plan and plan. Oh, it's not a right time to have a baby. It's not a right time to have a job. I need to do this. I need to wait for that. There's never a good time. When opportunity knocks, seize it, take it. You have to have the supports in place to make it happen. But I've had that happen to me quite a few times, and I can apply it to so many different walks of my life, like breaking up with a guy when I was 19. It's never a good time. It's his birthday. It's Christmas. It's Valentine's Day. It's whatever. There's never a good time. But apply that to your whole life. Like there's never a great, specific, perfect time to do something. So take opportunities as they present themselves. That'd be.
Well said, yeah, and you're totally right. Everyone's laughing because they all know it's true, right? You all know it's true, whatever is going on,
Oh
yeah.
my God, it's Christmas. Oh my God,
Yeah,
it's his birthday.
yeah, and suddenly, my gosh, we're 5 years into
Your
this.
freedom.
When I started this job, it was middle of COVID. I was planning a wedding. I was pretty happy in my job, my old job, and now I'm here, and I can't imagine not doing it. Like there's literally never the
never a
right
perfect
time.
How great is that? Yeah, Carrie.
So when I was young, like Alana, like 20, 30 years ago, it was, I was always the big and strong one, but I couldn't run, unlike some people. And the joke still today is if you see me running, come with, because something bad is happening behind us, right? This doesn't run.
Okay.
So I talked myself just by that comment alone. I didn't even try it. Like, I don't run. So I didn't try. But if I had tried 30 years ago for the York physical test, I probably wouldn't have been 40 years old when I joined the Barrie Fire Department. So it took 20 some odd years to learn that I can do it anyway.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
do it. Oh my
Good
goodness,
for
just
you,
do it.
good for you.
And if I'm
Power of
running,
the-
come with.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, everybody's got that now. We got that advice, yeah. But isn't it amazing the story we tell ourselves about all kinds of stuff, really, all kinds of stuff. Okay, I've lost track. Where are we? Okay, yeah, there we go.
So I know I touched on it earlier, but the biggest thing I would say is never give up. Because if you want something bad enough, nothing will get in your way. So if you get told no today or no a month from now, it's no right then and there, but it doesn't mean it's no in the future. If you want it bad enough, you're going to push yourself to get there. And at the end of the day, no one can stop you if you want it. So just never give up. Honestly, it's something I live by day by day.
A delay. It's just a delay.
Day by day. Oh,
Yeah,
delay,
yeah. Nice. Michelle, you said something earlier too that I really liked, is that, again, talking about the audience that we're speaking to, you spoke about when I played soccer, a bunch of the parents or some of the parents were also police officers. And that gave you a picture in your head of what you could be, how you could be, and who you could be. And how great is it that these women are up here today and they're creating that picture for the young people, the women, all of the people that are up and coming for tomorrow. And that's really fabulous. Okay, who did I miss? Angie? Yeah, okay.
So basically, just to sum up everything that these wonderful ladies said, and yourself, you talked about doing selfies. So a big thing would be to connect with people. We tend to forget this. We can't do this alone. And if you take the time to connect with people, those people will broaden you and help you get to where you want to be, and celebrate those little triumphs. It's not the big things. It's not the chief or a world-class runner or soccer player or all those things. It's the little things that make you who you are. And being brave and being courageous are two different things. Being brave is doing the job that we do every day, but being courageous is something different. That's the courage to stand up. That's the courage to go for it, to take that risk. And those things will help picture where you want to be. So just be courageous and get in there.
Nicely said, very nicely said. I have many questions that I would like to ask. I will not. I would like to send it out to the room, first of all, and see if there are any questions. We have some time for some questions and answers. If you have something that you would like to ask, I would absolutely like to throw it out to the audience and see if there's something that you would like to ask. Yeah, if I can ask you to speak up nice and loud. Yes, oh yeah, sorry, I could have said lady in the fabulous burnt orange hat is probably what I should have said, yeah. Mhm.
Obviously, you guys are all very successful, and I'm just really proud to be in this space to be able to see this. I have two daughters who are in careers that were not dominated by females as well, and are not now. One going into policing and one who's an airline pilot. So
Nice.
when they were little, they said, I never thought I could be because it was never shown on TV. It was whatever, right? It was never oppression in a certain way. But what I think I would like to know from you is, have you at this stage ever experienced gender inequality? And if you have, how did you maneuver that in a successful and healthy way so I can bring that back to next generation?
So the question was, have you, just for those of you at the back that never heard it, the question was, have you ever, and anyone can jump in and answer this question, have you ever experienced gender inequality? And if so, how did you manage it so that I can have some positive advice to share with my children, with or with all of the people actually that are listening? Anyone want to jump? I'm thinking that the answer is yes.
Yes.
I just stepping out on a limb there, but would anyone like to add to that? Yes, Sarah.
And I mean, I feel like this is my living room, so it's probably a little bit personal, but I was on a maternity leave and I applied for, in a different employer, applied for a job and actually got told it was not the right time for me because I needed to focus on my maternity leave, which I don't want to even, that aside, all that did was motivate me more. That made me realize that I needed to start challenging myself and get out of my safe space. So as anyone knows in this room, you get into a profession and you just lock yourself. This is my path. This is where I'm going. I have to stay here. I can't do anything else. What has the big bad world got for me? And that really forced my hand to say, this is not for me. I have to start looking elsewhere. So I took an 18-year career and went somewhere else and started looking for jobs. And I had to do jobs that nobody wanted to get to the job where I'm at right now. So I had to believe in myself enough. My partner, my husband at home he took the brunt. I mean, it was pay cuts, it was lifestyle changes, it was moving our house, it was all sorts of things to get to where I am now. And so the road's not always easy, but it is, you have to be true to yourself. There was no way I could be in a position that from a gender inequality piece that would not allow me to move forward because I had a baby. So that is something that I will always take with me. It is something that I will teach I have 2 daughters, so it's a blessing to be able to have a strong position and a strong role, and also I feel like I'm a strong person to teach them.
Sure. Because of it.
Yeah, don't take no for an answer.
Nice.
Keep moving through it. So I don't know if that kind of answers your question.
Yeah.
Or
We're going to supplement it with a bunch of answers. Yeah, well, Carrie, for sure, Carrie, and then Angie.
The only thing I would make sure I tell people is to never assume that my kindness is weakness, because if you light the spark on the temper, the fierceness will come out. And it's a long wick, but it is a long lifetime too. So never ever think that just because any of us are kind to you or compassionate or whatever, that is our weakness, because that is our ultimate strength.
True. Well said. Yeah, well said. We're back to authenticity as well. Yeah, Angie?
And I agree on the strength as well. And congratulations to your daughters.
Yeah,
That's an
totally.
amazing
Yeah.
feat. Congratulations. Our recruiting booth is at the back for your one daughter going into
Yeah.
policing.
As are all of ours.
Thank you. We can talk after if you like. But the goodness in people makes me believe it's not intentional on most counts, because we are in a male-dominated profession. And it should be seen as an opportunity to say, let's step up and let's show what perspective we can bring to the table. Because that's really important, because we do bring a different perspective. We talk about empathy and compassion and kindness. That is definitely our strength, and it doesn't make us weak. But it's an opportunity to educate and to show that there's different ways of doing things. So it's an honor to be in those rooms. Sometimes it's not a challenge that those obstacles exist. It's an opportunity to make better change. So tell your daughters to go kick butt.
every time I see a female airline pilot, I high five up top.
Good for you.
awesome.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. Good for you. Any other questions? I liked what Carrie said earlier in answer to your question as well. She might not remember, but you said earlier about when the microphone scenario, build close relationships with the men in your world who are allies. There's a group here, sitting here, that look pretty formidable in their uniforms. Build allyship in your professions as well, so that the men hand you the mic. right? I would say that that's a factor as well. Any other questions for the women at front? Really? You're a shy group? Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'll try and speak loud, but I'm in the Georgian Pre-Service Fire Program.
Yeah.
And I find sometimes, like, I do consider myself an overthinker sometimes, but there's times when I'm just, like, asking an extra question, or I'm talking to my classmates who are all mostly men, and I find that I just, like, have a little more dynamic thinking sometimes, and then I get called out for overthinking. Oh, don't overthink all the time, and it gets a little frustrating, and I was just wondering if anyone else has experienced something like that, how you kind of take those comments and like not let it get to you, because like after I'm like, brush it off, like you're not overthinking, it happens, but then sometimes I'm like, okay, I wasn't overthinking, but, and like how to take those comments and just not let it get to you when they're coming from all sides of the room.
Okay. For those of you who didn't hear, and for those of you online, the question is, I'm at the Georgian College program, surrounded by a lot of male cohort, and I often am accused of asking too many questions and overthinking things. Is there any advice that any of you would like to share, or maybe you can relate to that experience, Chantel?
This may not necessarily be the case, but in my experience, sometimes I feel like people responding that way, they're projecting, and they don't actually know the answer, so they're putting it back into your court. So maybe explaining why you want to know, and just say if you don't know the answer. I think it's all okay for us to say we don't know the answer, but I'll get back to you, and having that safe space to be able to have those honest conversations is really important.
I actually like the way you already reframed your thinking into dynamic thinking rather than overthinking. So I think, I'm very guilty of second guessing myself as well. But you're already doing it. You're already changing the way you think into dynamic rather than overthinking, and agreeing with Chantel that I think there is some projection in there. So
Totally some projection in there. And the classroom or the training ground or wherever you may find yourself asking the extra question is the place to ask the extra question.
Yes.
Because when you are on the fire ground and you're like, that is not the place to necessarily have. You want the information already in the supercomputer in your brain. You don't want to have to think of the extra question then. So never be offended that you're asking the extra question. That is the exact place to do it.
Or apologetic.
I was just gonna say, don't apologize.
Oh.
Overthink all you want. And it's not overthinking, it's asking questions. You're educating yourself, you're informing yourself. Don't apologize. Lean into it. You're going to have a very specific knowledge base when it comes to it. And with that information, you're going to build whatever you need to build to be successful in whatever you want to do. So that's all I'd say is don't apologize.
Yeah.
We apologize far too much for everything.
Oh my gosh.
And not because we're Canadian.
Alana, you want
And if you do make a mistake, it's not a mistake. You're learning from it. I learn at least 30 new things every shift. Whether it's small or big or whatever. And if I mess up, I make sure not to make the same mistake again. But it's not necessarily a mistake, sorry. It's a learning experience. Like, our careers are all so different, but there's so much to them. You have to know a million different things, and you could get one call that you trained for 3 years ago, but you're trying to remember everything for that one specific call that you only get that one throughout your whole career. So by having that dynamic thinking that you said, like, you'll get there.
Carrie, did you want to add something? You had your mic.
You're either winning or learning,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So if
Good
they're
final
not
word.
learning, they're not winning either.
Very true. Very true. I'm sure that all helps. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Does anyone have any other questions that we'd like to pose? So, yes, absolutely. Thank you. Oh, no. Did I hear someone say, oh, no? Okay. Now. Yeah.
Quickly for Sarah.
Okay.
What can organizations do differently or better, specifically in the emergency services, to attract, retain, and support our female members?
Nice. So the question was, for those of you who didn't hear, what can organizations do in emergency services to attract and retain strong women like this?
Wasn't specifically
no,
for me.
he was kidding. Yeah, he was kidding.
So for me, I think a lot of it is about learning and education and providing that, but a lot of it is about visibility. And so when women see people that look like them in positions, and it doesn't have to be positions of leadership, it can be in any sort of active career, increasing that visibility gives people confidence to know that it's happening. Things like this. This is unbelievable. Have more of these, have more panel interviews. I think people don't want to hear the work mumbo jumbo that we want to all talk about. They want to hear the authenticity behind what your life is.
The real
and-
stories. We want to hear the real stories.
They want to relate to you as a person. So giving women more of those opportunities in the workplace to be authentic and to be relatable. But visibility for me is a huge piece.
For sure. Yeah,
And I
Angie?
think it's really that lived experience, like Sarah said. They want to connect with people, and it's the visibility as well. And oftentimes when we see advertising for firefighters or paramedics or police, it's like rappelling down buildings or, in the worst of situations. That's not always what it's about. For women, we're so good at victim focused activities and community relations, and some women may not realize that this is a position for them, that this is an opportunity for them, that there are skills they can bring to the table if it's not highlighted. And sometimes we shy away from that because it is a pretty hardcore profession across the board. So I think that visibility as well and those different connections and focus groups are really important to get out there, that outreach.
For sure. Carrie? Yeah, Carrie, yeah, Chantal.
So the other thing that I feel is important is to have representation on selection committees so that you bring that different perspective to the choice making.
Sure. Chantal?
100%. I also think that when you said it's been 100 years that it's been recognized as International Women's Day, that's not very long in the grand scheme of things. And I think we have to take some steps back and address the barriers that may actually be barriers in each of our professions, right down to the equipment that we use. Like, we are different people. Our bodies are smaller, and we have to adjust that so that those barriers are removed. When we do get in the field, we can do the job with the tools that we have, and that's industry-wide. I think we have to incorporate women in those research and making sure that everything fits us and all of that stuff.
Excellent. Excellent. Any other last question? Do you have a last question from anyone? Okay. Nicely done. Do I have time for a question? I would like to add, because what I really would like to know, I have many questions, but I want to know, have we seen change? Have we seen appreciable change?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I would say it's we're not there yet, but we're moving in the right direction.
The next 20 years is going to be epic.
Nice. I like it. So what I'm hearing is, hang on, people. We're going for a ride. And I'm seeing lots of young women, and I'm seeing I know there are lots of young women watching online, and I know there's recruitment tables at the back that you can get information. But I recognize now that we are opening doors, and things like we're doing today are opening doors in people's minds, which is what I'm hearing. And that is an extraordinary thing. And I do appreciate all of you coming. Sarah looks like she's got
I just
one
want to
more
give a
comment.
shout out at the back of the room to the collective powerhouse that is the paramedic women standing back there. Don't look around, I'm pointing at you. We've got a group of women there. We've got people working from our logistics department that help keep us outfitted and keep our trucks on the road. Oh, wow. And then we've got, between Shannon and Sarah, unlimited expertise in the paramedic field. So these are the people that we want young girls to aspire to be.
Yeah.
And we couldn't be prouder to work beside women like this. So that's who you want in your field. That's who you want your kids to be, and we'll help them get there.
Nicely said. Well, yes.
Where can this be seen, and was it recorded?
I would repeat that question, but I don't know the answer. Where can this be seen, and is it recorded? I'm getting some nods from people. It's recording. We're getting nodding. There's lovely people back here hiding behind the bookshelves that can answer that question afterward. Opportunity.
1 hour
Yeah.
to learn so much.
Okay.
And
Perfect. There you go. I will get that information and let you know. Thank you all for coming. Most importantly, thank you, ladies, for doing what you do and for having done what you have done and continuing to do it and inspire and blaze trails, because really it's extraordinary. So a powerhouse panel here is what I'm calling this today, and thank you very much, all of you, for coming. And if you would like to meet some of these ladies afterward, I was kind of kidding about the selfie, but not really. So I think if you stayed for a minute and people could take some photos, I think that would be kind of cool, actually. So I really would like to reintroduce everyone. Staff Sergeant Angie Butler. Okay. We have, I don't know anyone's last names, I realize as I'm looking at my sheet. Commander Chantel Demers. Chief Sarah Mills. Deputy Chief Carrie Clark. Firefighter Alana Kovacs. And Constable Michelle Plowman. Delightful. Please stick around and network, have a little chit chat with people. We also have some snacks and refreshments around the corner in the Angus Ross room, if you would like, towards the front of the building. There's also a QR code on the back of your program. We'd love to have a survey because this was great. We'd like to have more of these events. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming, and happy International Women's Day. Go forth and rock it, ladies.